So this is going to be a tutorial on how to use the Line 6 pedal board for church based on the presets and the the programs that I put into here. Basically, they're from two companies. One is called Worship Tutorials, and they're pretty big on YouTube, and they have a whole channel on how to play their stuff. They have their own presets that I put into here. And the second is David Hislop. So David Hislop is a worship guitar player for Bethel. And on his website, he put in a bunch of his own sounds and presets and things like that that I've also programmed into here. So let's first start off by accessing those programs. So the first place that we want to go is preset right here, this button. And you go ahead and just press this down, and this menu will come up. So you'll see that on the left column, there are a bunch of places that you can save things. And then on the right column are individual presets or songs that I will use. So the three areas that I focused were on user 1, user 2, and user 3. So this button here, you can push it left, push it right, up and down. And in user 1, so if you click over to the right, you open this folder up, and user 1 I used for basically the Sunday set. So the most recent one that I played, the first song was Amazing Grace, King of Kings, and then for the pageant, the Christmas pageant, there was Carol of the Bells, Joy to the World. So over here, you go down, you can scroll through each individual preset that you would like for a single song. If we click over to the left and we go down to user 2 and we hit right, this user 2 folder I used basically for worship tutorials. That's what the WTIR, it means worship tutorials. The IR is basically like an amp sound. They have their own presets for songs, like the 15 most popular Christian songs that they set their own delays, tempos, reverbs, and things like that you can scroll through. And I downloaded those into this folder, user 2. So, songs like See a Victory from Elevation, King of My Heart, that's a Bethel song, Cornerstone, Hillsong, Lion and Lamb, that's another Bethel song. So these are basically all those different songs that Worship Tutorials has already put in, and they sell them on their website. Let's go over to user 3. The user 3 folder, this is probably the most practical for Sunday worship for you guys. For any electric guitar player that comes in to use this, I would stick with user 3. And the reason is because this is probably the most versatile. The top one is called Hislop patch. So Hislop is David Hislop's patch. He basically put his own delays, reverbs, overdrive sounds, chorus sounds that's basically meant to be used for any worship song that you would play on a Sunday. And then the rest are just based on amps. You'll notice that I put for a Hislop patch that there's 2 banks, and then each one of those amp settings each have 2 banks. So what that means is that I kind of assume that the first bank you'll have for one electric guitar player, And then for the second bank, like Hislop Patch 2, can be the setting for another electric guitar player. So Daniel, if you want to take like the top one, Tay, if you want to take the second one, then I just let those two banks just be there so that you guys can customize whichever one you would want in your own bank. So matchless, the 1C, 1D setting is a matchless C30 amp, which is a pretty popular amp, like a pretty good sounding amp for worship. 2A, 2B is another matchless setting. That's the matchless lightning amp. And then 2C, 2D is the Vox AC30. And again, each one of these amps I put them into two separate settings. So AC31 and then AC32. So that this can be used for one electric guitar player and this can be used for another electric guitar player, and you guys can customize each one as you guys want. So you'll see that there are basically a ton of different amps that you guys could play through. And honestly, I think that the matchless C30 amp sound and the David Hislop patch, those two, I think you guys could play any worship song that we play with those sounds. All right, so, and I would stick only with user 1, user 2, and user 3. The other ones are just like factory settings and like other sounds that Line 6 already put in, but the Line 6 sounds that they put into this pedal board are not really compatible with like worship sounds. So that's that. Okay. So let's now go to the actual board. So let's open up Hislop Patch. So this is basically all the sounds that you need for a worship song. And if you look at this button here, this will be a clean / reverb sound that you could use in any kind of like setting. So for example, that's what this sounds like. And then if you needed like an overdrive sound, you could move on to this one. And then second stage overdrive is a dirtier overdrive. Pog lead. So a pog is basically a sound where you can get the octave high, 1 octave higher of what you're playing. So it sounds extra screechy. And what the lead means that is if you're playing a part that, you like the intro to This Is Amazing Grace or something like that, then you would click on the Pog lead and then be able to do that. And then for like the verse, you could go back to a clean verb or a first drive or something like that if you wanted. Chorus is basically, David Hislop likes to use chorus a lot. That's what this sounds like. So it sounds very lush. What chorus is that it takes your sound, it makes it slightly sharp and slightly flat so that it sounds more like full and round. Chorus drive is basically the overdrive. Oops, sorry, I'll explain that later. Chorus drive is basically the overdrive with a chorus put together. Fuzz is just a really, really aggressive distortion sound. And then ambient. So this sound you'll probably use a lot in the setting of worship. Ambient sounds like this. So it's basically a pretty long reverb and a delay with a really long tail on it. And that's, useful for like in between songs, for when the pastor's praying, or like, I don't know, the beginning of songs when it's really, really quiet and you just have a pad sound going. This is a tap tempo. So anytime you're in a song, I recommend before the song starts or even in the middle of the song to tap those tempos in as you're playing, because the delay when it's not in tempo, it just sounds horrible. And the number here, for example, 81.3, what that means is beats per minute. So another thing that you can try to look up is a beats per minute of a song beforehand and try to get around that number. But if the band is playing at a certain tempo, I just recommend for now we just stick with tap tempo, unless we wanted to get a click one day or something. Okay. On the left, you'll see that there's preset. So what this is that I showed you in the banks that there was one Hislop patch for one electric guitar player. And if you hit preset up, so if you hit preset up, that means that you'll get to the second bank of the Hislop patch. If you press it again, it'll take us to the matchless. And this is worship tutorials, basically like their settings. So this is the clean sound for worship tutorial. This is the drive. So a little bit more aggressive. This is like the lead sound. So again, if you wanted to do like the intro to a song or something like that. Swells is basically the same thing as the ambient on the Hislop patch. Pog lead, same thing. Chorus clean. Ambient clean is just another long overdrive, or a long reverb rather. And yeah, so each one of these amps, they have two presets. So one for one electric guitar player, another one for another electric guitar player. Okay, let's talk about preset versus stomp setting. Okay, so we are in the Hislop patch right now. And let's, for example, go to